You know, this is one of those Spike Lee joints where Spike Lee had a moment. But it wasn't his best moment, but it wasn't his worst moment either. He really doesn't have any of those. This is just one of those films that happen to be somewhere in the middle. You know, where it's not just horrible, but it's not good, but it's just enough going on to keep you intrigued. This is one of those moments. She hates me. I still don't know why she hate me. Why she hate me twice, and I still don't know. Looked up reviews, didn't really find any. So now y'all left with my opinion. Let's talk about it. Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Tyra here with another struggle review, here to discuss She Hates Me. Now this movie is from 2004. It's a Spike Lee joint. It stars Anthony Mackie and Kerry Washington. Now when I, heard about this movie, I was like, oh, I remember that. But I hadn't watched it in so long. Going back to watch it now in the climate that we're in, there's so much to be said and just so much that's just kind of over my head. Before we get into how I feel about this movie and I try to break it down, I need you guys to drop down and subscribe to my channel and like this video. I'm going to give you guys a moment to do that, and then we're going to come back and discuss all things. When Spike go there, he go there, don't he? You know when he take these like big leaps and bounds in these movies and he goes there? He goes there. This man is not afraid to take a chance and go do some other shit. Because this is definitely some other shit. What? Go back. Now that you guys have hopefully subscribed to see more of me, let's get into this video. Before we jump into the movie, I have to give a shout out to the person who paid for and requested this review. So if you happen to get your whole in life, it's not because of me, it's because of this person right here. Thank you so much for supporting me, paying for this content. Y'all know. Getting into this movie, this is a Spike Lee joint through and through. This is one of his more experimental films in my opinion, and this is around the time where we got that every other film aspect from Spike Lee. It's like every other film was so-so. Not bad, but not completely up to Spike Lee's best potential. Like we got Malcolm X, and then we got Crooklyn. We got Clockers, and then we got Girl 6. We got Get on the Bus, and then we got He Got Game. We got She Hates Me, and then we got Inside Man. Still absolutely entertaining fucking movies. Are they an acid trip and really surreal sometimes, and sometimes way out there? Hell yeah. Do we still enjoy them? Hell yes. Now, once we get into the movie, I always felt like that this was like 2 or 3 movies in one. And if Spike would have chose to just focus on one of the main aspects that this film goes through, then we could have, got a better film. But per usual, sometimes Spike just has a whole lot that he wants to say, and he go put it in there. But we are introduced to Anthony Mackie here as Jack, aka John Henry Armstrong, aka still driving, hammering Armstrong. I was like, really, y'all? But this is one of the few like main roles that you will see Anthony Mackie star in. Most of the time he's in the supporting cast. He's, the sidekick. He's the yin to somebody's yang, but rarely is he the main star, the main attraction. He leads this film here and he does a very good job. The beginning of the film is solely focused on Jack, him being a successful executive at this biotech firm. They're, investing in AIDS vaccines and trying to, find this cure, and everything's so great. They're in this stocks and it's all, politics and all this other good stuff. Jack is the man. He is very career driven and focused. This day is like any other day up until his friend, Doctor, decides to off himself and jumps out of a window. At that point, we get into whether or not Jack wants to do what his friend couldn't and be a whistleblower for the company that he works for and report the underhanded illegal practices that they are doing and going about, you know, the vaccines, the selling of the stock for the vaccine, just straight illegal. The whole thing was really, really Enron. Now, if you go back, there was this big corporation, Enron, that was audited, and they stole a whole lot of money. They didn't report a ton of their income. They ripped off a lot of people. People's jobs were at stake. They filed for bankruptcy, and it was a huge scandal all about fraud. Stock sharing, a whole bunch of illegal bullshit. Now, instead of sticking with the team of me, team of one, we are family, we all take care of each other, Jack decides to be an anonymous whistleblower and makes a phone call. And at that point, he becomes a small sacrifice on an already sinking ship. FBI is sniffing around, looking for evidence, looking for someone to be at fault. Jack becomes that fall guy and gets terminated. At this point of the film, every little thing is very much so on the nose. You have to remember that this is 2004. Not only do we have those elements of, you know, Enron going on and that one hand washes the other, there's that element of politics. This is when Bush was in office. We all know how Spike was feeling about Bush. There is a lot to be said here. We have this do-gooder, legit, executive black man, you know, pulled himself up. He's, you know, a part of the corporate world, but, you know, as soon as some shit pops off and he's trying to do the right thing, he has to suffer for it. He's terminated. His bank accounts are frozen. We have his ex-girlfriend show up, fat, with her girlfriend Val. They are both lesbians who would like to be impregnated by him at the same time. Now, immediately he is very broken and distraught. Like, first of all, I'm not some random, you're my ex, you broke up with me, you broke up our whole shit, you fucked me up, and now you're gonna come in here and ask me to give you and your now girlfriend a baby. As soon as we get there, the whole moment just becomes absolutely surreal. It's something about the dialogue and just the way that they are conversating with each other. It just comes off as unnatural, but it's just so intriguing that you just keep watching. Second of all, you have Miss Kerry Washington here in her whole prime. This is way before she was ever Olivia Pope, any of that shit. This is before people started making fun of her Kerry Washington cry face. This is when she was just straight up, not that she's not sexy now, but she was so sexy here. I can remember watching stuff I wasn't supposed to watch, but I swear every single role that she was in those early 2000s, like from 2000 on down to 2008, she was nude and she was fucking. I swear. Go and look at her repertoire. It's not a lot of roles where she wasn't getting banged down. I swear. I have too many Kerry Washington sex scenes in my Rolodex that shouldn't be there. And then you have Dania Ramirez, you know, I'm Dominican, she's coming, they have all the flavor. They are very sexy here, very beautiful women, and it's a great moment. Now you have to remember that this is 2004. Up until this point, people, you know, having same-sex couples, especially lesbians, there was, you know, a whole drop. You wasn't really seeing that shit. If you were seeing it, it was probably toxic. It was probably letting you know why you shouldn't be a lesbian and pulling you away from it. But here we have a healthy lesbian couple on display. They're in love with each other and they want two sperms from you, and we're willing to pay. We're willing to pay you $5,000 a piece, $10,000 just for you to knock us up. We don't want to go to a sperm bank. We could be getting anybody. We don't want to go through adoption. It's so hard for same-sex couples to adopt. A lot of stuff in this movie lets you know how much stuff has changed and all the progress that has been made for same-sex couples. But it's just like, you know what, this is our only option. Yes or no? And of course, Jack is completely against it. Not only is he heartbroken, but you know, how dare you? The audacity of you to walk your ass in. Like, she walked in like a freight train, like it was just all good. Bitch, you don't get your ass out of here. But due to the fact that he's in a bind and he has zero options, he goes ahead. With the understanding of you will have no parental rights to this child, you will be signing them away. This is strictly a transaction. Cool, whatever. This is where I hit the pause. Lesbian or not, they have a clear understanding of this strictly being a transaction. And then you have, you know, the girlfriend Val, I don't do dick, you're not sticking that in me. We're gonna do the turkey baster method. We're gonna do the artificial insemination method, which both of them agreed on as a couple before they ever got there. Oh, but bitch, you had long changed your mind before you got there. I love that moment when they're talking and she's like, yeah, she wants that. I want it the old-fashioned way. We have red pumps on and lingerie. What part of the game is that? What part of the impregnation is that? And I love when she was like, I know what I came here to do. You know what? Yes, you did. She came here to get fucked. You came here to get fucked. Like, I don't care what kind of shit we have going on. The moment that we realized that you came here to get fucked, you would have put your clothes on and came on home. But you know what? It's not my relationship. Anywho, you have Fat here who is all too eager and ready to pounce on some dick. And not some random dick. No, this is your ex-dick, ex-fiance dick. First of all, like, the whole thing with Fat orchestrating that whole situation and having all that control was a no. I don't know how you even finesse me to feel like it was okay for you to come and get impregnated by your ex as if this was your only option. There were so many options. There's, you know, this talk of we got to make sure he's clean and, you know, maybe he's in the Ivy League, a certain IQ, a certain this, a certain status. There were ways to go about that and find that kind of person without automatically going to your ex. Fat had a plan this whole fucking movie. You came turkey, no, bitch, you came to get fucked. You gonna come here to get fucked alone. And I'm gonna go and take my lesbian ass back home to my apartment. You can stay here. So after we established that Fat is a fucking bird, Fat was bird, we get into other elements in the story. Now, all the other elements in this movie don't quite fit and don't flow well with the rest. The main focus here for a lot of the film is that lesbian relationship and, you know, the dynamics of him impregnating them. So when we go back to other moments in correlation with the corporation and the job and him being fired, things being underhanded, whistleblowers and stuff like that, it's just like, huh? Now, that whole thing being established, so him being fired be the main reason that he would even need to result to impregnating women, it just doesn't go well, not for me. So when we have first of all, every fucking body is in this movie. You have Q-Tip here, Vibrant Thing, as the bestie, fellow co-worker. You have Woody Harrelson as the leader of this corporation who's throwing him under the bus, throwing mud on his name, you know, insinuating him, feeding stuff to the press, feeding stuff to the FBI agents lurking around, just throwing him completely under the bus. Then you also have Lynette McKee, aka, you know, Spike will reach out. So if you was in my movie once, you're gonna always have a role. I'm gonna reach out and grab all the people. We have Lynette McKee here as his mother. You have Jim Brown here as his diabetic father. And they have this whole element of this argumentative, toxic relationship, something he's grown up with, to maybe give us some insight on his outlook as far as relationships, why he might have a commitment issue, why he might, you know, be a little hesitant to want to have children, as he stated in the beginning of the film. You know, it's stuff here, but it's just like, huh? It's just like, you know, what the hell is going on? We're just going kind of back and forth, and it's not, you know, giving us a real consistent film. But when we go, you know, and find out more about his home life, we get more into, you know, him asking his family for advice, and, you know, what should he do? And we get into his father's advice about, you know, you're going to turn out like this guy from Watergate. And we get this whole Watergate history, this former security guard who was also a whistleblower and, you know, lost everything for it. He wasn't commended. He wasn't held up. You know, this went all the way up to Nixon type situation, like with this whole Enron thing, going all the way up to maybe a Bush type situation. We're trying to correlate the two. Bottom line, watch your back. Now, right after we leave Jack, you know, talking with his parents, lawyering up, preparing for the worst, preparing to protect himself as a black man, because this doesn't normally end well for us. I don't want to be that brother. We get into Fat not only impregnating herself, she is now pregnant. She brings other lesbian women who want to sign that same contract, have him have no parental rights, and also get impregnated by John Armstrong Jack. We get into, nigga, come and get it. Let me give this up to you. I know you don't deserve it, but I need it, baby boo. We get into more or less being women wanting to be pregnant as well. They all have different recommendations, story as to why they need him. They each require something different. All kind of women, from, you know, awakening the chi by Ling to a rapping Paula Jai Parker, very much giving us early It's Hard Out Here for a Pimp, very much giving us DJ. He has now become a profitable baby making machine at $10,000 a pop to women who have many personalities, sexual requirements, positions, styles, levels of intimacy, and they are all ovulating. We have this horrible CGI sperm with his face on it meeting the egg. Like, why? We didn't need that. Everything at this point becomes like pure comedy, and it's really funny. It's really lighthearted, which is why I really wish we got these aspects being the main focus of the film. We could have had an Enron, Watergate, Bush, Nixon in them film all on its own. This here was, you know, the main focus of the film, and I know what keeps people coming back and loving the film in general. You have him have to have all this stamina. He has to impregnate all these women, and he is okay with it at this point. Now, what I find funny is, prior to, you know, this situation ever happening, the whole thing with him even, you know, filing that complaint and being a whistleblower is because, you know, I have morals. I have a moral complex. I have to do the right thing. It was the right thing to do. But when it came here and, you know, impregnating all of these lesbians and him, you know, skeeting all this sperm out, the morals kind of went out the window and he just went along with it. Another thing that kind of threw me for a loop was how excited a lot of these women were to get some dick. I didn't understand that as a lesbian. I always thought the dynamic of, you know, being a strict lesbian was, that's just not something that you prefer. Now, it's one thing for these women to want to be impregnated and doing what they have to do. They all give their various reasons. But it's another thing when we have them, you know, we want to see what we're paying for, and oh my God, this, that, and the third. And then, you know, once you know, you drop your drawers and you know, show us your goods, it's like, oh, okay, damn, yeah, it's sold. We're here for it. I'm here for that dick. Like, are we here for the dick or not? Are we? Were they? That definitely was. Now, from that point in the film, we go on this whole roller coaster ride of him impregnating more and more women. We have tons of Viagra and Red Bull, ginseng, wincing, wee-wee-sing, all the shit just to keep little man's afloat, keep that energy, keep that stamina up. But at this point, he is, you know, he's impregnated between 15 and 20 women. And there has been, you know, no real moral complex about it. There hasn't really been a thought behind it. It's just something that he's doing, and he's made upwards of $100,000 or more dollars. It's just like, at some point he really didn't need to do it anymore, and the main reason why he was even in that space was to continue to spend time with that. I love how conveniently every single woman that he was, you know, prone to impregnate and came up was absolutely drop dead fucking gorgeous. Like, every single woman was gorgeous here. Even when we got into, you know, oh, you know, these more feminine women don't just want to be pregnant. We also have, you know, the more mass women also want to be pregnant, and, you know, they're riding, and it's just all, you know, all this energy, all this masculine shit going on. Like, I'm about to post you up and knock you down. Like, it's very, very funny. But I thought it was real cute how, like, oh gosh, like, don't expect, you know, all these beautiful women. These are a different kind of women. Like, no, these are masculine gay women, but they're all beautiful. Everybody was conveniently fine. Now, we get into a very, very informative part of the movie, a very special part of the movie. Means so much, and it lasts all of 5 minutes in this 2-hour ass film. Like, I really wish we would have gotten so many more moments of this movie has a lot of prolific moments to be informative, and this is one of them. This is 2004. This is when, you know, knowledge wouldn't drop like that. Everybody didn't understand everything. Everybody was not informed. Most of all, someone like Jack and the type of guy and upbringing that he had, he just, you know, thought of lesbians as being, you know, one way. They're, you know, more of a predator. It's, you know, it wasn't your choice. This isn't what you wanted to be. What could, you know, being a lesbian and wanting to be with a woman ever do for you that I couldn't? He just doesn't understand it. He has his own, you know, kind of caveman ass, you know, perceptions of, you know, what it is to be a gay lesbian, what it is to be, you know, a gay man, what these dynamics mean. Why did you do this to me? Why did you break up with me for a woman? And when we get into, you know, how she felt about it and why she felt the need to explore those options and what it felt like to be with a woman, and then we realize why she was just so eager to come in there and get fucked in the first place. Well, we have Val, who is pretty much, you know, that straight lesbian. We have Fat is somewhere in the middle of the spectrum, and she's not quite lesbian. She's more so bisexual, but she doesn't want to label herself. She just, you know, has a lot of love to go around and doesn't quite want to admit that to herself, but she is very much so giving bisexual energy here. We even have her, you know, say, I had to, you know, realize, you know, I like pussy too. Not pussy strictly, pussy too. She is more so bisexual, and he just does not understand that. And their dynamic is just so unfinished and so lingering, and you still have the feeling that, you know, there is something there, which begs the question of, you know, what was Fat's plan all along? Like, why out of all people you would go here and open up, you know, this wound? And, you know, Jack has all this passion and love and just everything still left for her, and now you guys have this bond forever with him impregnating you. Once again, Fat was a bird. But after we have that very, very informative conversation of, you know, why did you do this? This happened because of this reason. I couldn't keep who I was and what's a part of me inside. I had to explore that side of myself to know who I am. I didn't intentionally hurt you. I thought I was doing the best thing. Now, it would have been, you know, really deceitful for me to marry you and still have these feelings that, you know, I think I want to be with a woman also. Now, once we have, you know, all that verbal confirmation happening, we get a visual of Fat actually cheating on him, and we get this full-blown lesbian sex. Now, I can remember watching this and I was like, oh my God, all this exploitation. Why do we need to see this? And they just verbally told us what happened. Now watching it, it's like, okay, you know, I see what you were doing. We get a lot of sex courtesy of Jack impregnating other lesbian women, but we are, you know, making it a point to put that lesbian sex in here. I know, you know, up until that point, knowing what I know now, there wasn't a lot of moments like this on screen where you saw, you know, same-sex couples casually having sex as, you know, a hetero couple would. And it's just like, you know, we have to put these things there. We have to show this, you know, this is a part, this is what's happening, this is the culture. They have sex too, and, you know, it's like we want you guys to see that. So we do have, you know, this scene here, and we also get, you know, that kitchen scene later on in the film, but you just have that moment happening. You see just how distraught Jack was and how broken he was, and you also see why he would have all of those leftover feelings for her. Girl, we were about to get married. The invitations were in the mail, which begs the question, what was your plan? Fatima, what was your plan? What was your plan? I feel like watching this film, she was very underhanded, very sneaky, and had a plan all along. And this wasn't just solely about her wanting to go back and get impregnated. This was, you know, some unfinished business because she was bisexual and she couldn't admit that to herself. I feel like they got played. They got played. Now, at this point is where I feel like we get into the mixed signals of what this movie is trying to say. We do have a moment where we have him, you know, renaming Fat She Hate Me. Now, when we get into the title, the only thing that I got from that was this whole, you know, lesbian situation, these women in general, because they have this thing about, you know, kind of objectifying him, and, you know, we only see you as stick and sperm, you're only this. But it's just like the main thing that you would like to do, which is, you know, procreate, you can't do that without me. She hates me for that reason, because you still need me for something. Yes, you're strong in your relationship. Yes, you are, you know, a lesbian, you're successful, you're this, you're that. But when it comes to making a baby, you need me, and she hate me for that reason. That might be wrong. I don't know. Drop it below. But we also get into, you know, Jack starting to have a moral complex, and it's just like, you know, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, this is just too much. It's like, oh yeah, like after he's impregnated like 20 women, this is just too much. I don't want to do this anymore. Although he has impregnated all these women, he has yet to impregnate Val, the girlfriend to Fat. And it's just like, I can't do the turkey baster method. You know, me getting man milk is not working. I have to get it the old fashioned way, which creates a whole different dynamic in her relationship with Fat, which just shows all of her true, real intentions. She goes in with, you know what, I'm not coming to get fucked. I'm coming to get pregnant. But once you know, have it thrown in her face, you know, what did you go back there for? Why were you there? What were you doing? Like, did you enjoy it? Did you have sex with him? Like, what do you care? This is all about us getting pregnant, right? No, this was not all about that. She wanted to go and get pregnant by Jack. She didn't go to just get pregnant in general. She's having this whole complex of, you know, the sex that they've had, what's, you know, your true agenda. And then we find out stuff, you know, about their relationship dynamic. Like, I'm, you know, an open, out front lesbian. You haven't even came out to your parents. You're still, you know, closeted. It's just like, y'all don't need to have no kids together. She is just not full committed in her sexuality and out as an outright lesbian. And they're still, you know, having her, you know, situation be a secret to her parents. So it's just like, you know, if you're still in that space in your relationship, if she's still in that headspace as a lesbian, why would y'all go through the process of even trying to have children together? But, you know, that's just a whole nother dynamic. That's, you know, someone's relationship, and you can't, you know, tell somebody when to be comfortable with their self to come out. But it just didn't seem like a healthy environment, and that their relationship was okay, and that she truly knew what Fat's intentions were. But of course, it's all confirmed, and I love you, and, you know, we're okay. This is about us, you know, having those children together. This isn't about Jack or any of that. And we get, you know, that really great sex scene in the kitchen, and, you know, all the good fingers and stuff. Like, yeah. Now, via the side characters, we also have this movie straddling the fence of, you know, is this Jack, you know, doing, you know, a great thing? He's doing a good deed. He's giving these lesbian women the opportunity to bear children and have full-fledged families with their significant other. Or is this no different than, you know, some bum-ass baby father leaving children all over the place? What is the difference between that and this? You're signing your rights away. That's the same as, you know, somebody who's not there and don't want their rights anyway. You are just leaving your seeds everywhere. This isn't okay. You have family members, you have people, then you have Jack also, when it's convenient, to feel like these things are morally wrong. And then on the other hand, you have people like the lesbians who feel like this is a beautiful thing and thank you so much. It's not quite 100% with what they were trying to say there. And now at the point that we decide to step all the way away from him impregnating the women, and we decide to focus more on the other aspects of the film, the whole Watergate, the whole AIDS vaccine, the company, the corruption, the whole fucking movie just absolutely jumps the shark, and it's just a hot ass mess. We already have, you know, him going to the sperm bank with Q-Tip and him giving a sperm donation, and he's naming off all these people and, you know, how valuable their sperm or their egg would be, and it goes on for a very, very long time. Spike is really good for, you know, giving name drops and, you know, dropping albums and music, and, you know, it just being a continuation. But at that point, it's just really fucking ridiculous. But it's just really trying to, you know, horn in on how important the sperm can be. And we also use that moment to kind of find out within that story that the fact that he could impregnate all those women and he had all that sperm was, you know, kind of a phenomenon in itself. Not everybody can do that. Some people's soldiers don't march that much. You are, you know, phenomenal brother, whatever. We also have Monica Bellucci pop up being this lusty lesbian Italian, just horrible acting. Everything is just so horrible. And her, you know, persuading him one last time to impregnate her. And, you know, that ties into John Turturro coming in, being this fake ass godfather aspect. And, you know, he's colored, and we have this, you know, strict Italian family, and she's chosen to let a black man impregnate her. And it's this godfather impersonation. It's just absolutely stupid. And you have, you know, all these aspects of, you know, rap music, and, you know, what it means to be a dad, what it means to be a black person in America, struggle, strife, stuff that Spike wants to say, but he just threw that shit in there and used one of, you know, his beloved actors that, you know, appear in one of his films to do it. Like, we just threw John. It was just so awkward and awful. And everybody here, this cast, great cast, everybody was underutilized at this point. Not only do you have that aspect there, you have the FBI, FCC, LMNOP, everybody on his trail, and we have fucking Isaiah Woodlock Jr. running around doing his infamous shit. Like, he said shit one too many times. You know, on a good day, it slaps, it's good, it fits. Here in this movie, he said it so many times, it was just fucking comical and irritating. Like, it was just like, why? It's almost like people got to the ending of the film and forgot what to do. Not only do we have these aspects of him being, you know, crooked within the biotech executive whole position there and selling the stocks and trading, him being a part of that, now he's being torn down because he's, you know, being a bastard out here, impregnating all these women, and he has been imprisoned at this point. And we have, you know, him putting all the ultrasounds up on, you know, the jailhouse wall, Thad and Val coming to visit him, and him, you know, just really growing into the aspect of being a dad when initially he wasn't supposed to have any connection or anything to do with these children. But we all know that this was Thad's plan from the get-go. You also have, you know, these two go through this very visual childbirth. You know, Spike loves to let us see some vagina and some childbirth, honey. We get the whole childbirth shit. We get them having their babies along with the other women. And we also have him go to court, and, you know, he's defending himself and, you know, giving this evidence. It's supposed to be this grand. Everything just looks like this awkward, awful fucking stage play. And it is really horrible. Now we end with people on the street giving their thoughts about, you know, whether or not what Jack is doing. He's, you know, on the news now. He's very prolific. He's fought his good fight in trial, presumed, you know, given his evidence, talked about the corruptions and the AIDS vaccine and what it was and wasn't, and he's gotten off. But it's not just because of that. There's also this aspect of the women, and of course we got to throw Ozzie Davis is here as the judge. And it's just like, you know, no man with 19 kids needs to be locked up. He needs to be out working and having a job. And there's, you know, this complex of, this is the same as a random man just going from person to person having a kid. It's no different just because these are lesbians and you signed your rights away. You low-key a deadbeat ass father. But we end off with him getting out and feeling like, you know, he still wants that connection. He still, you know, wants to be in these children's life. These children, just Fat and, you know, Val, low-key just to be with Fat. The other, you know, 15, 17, no, fuck them children. These children, I want to be that. Not only do I want to be in these children's life, but I still want to be with Fat. I still love you. Then that's when we get into this being really prolific, and this could have just stopped here. This movie could have solely been about those three and them pursuing a poly relationship, because that's what we pretty much ended up in. We end up, you know, with them all embracing each other and them all kissing each other, and it's like, you know, we're gonna do this together. Not only is Fat gonna embrace Jack here, but Val is also going to do that, because at the end of the day, we all want the same end goal. We all want a family, and we all want Fat to be happy, which I'm sure Fat's fat ass was happy about. However, we end off, you know, with the family, the whole dynamic on the beach, and, you know, it's just a picturesque moment, and we get this polyamorous life that could have been so ahead of its time. Not that a lot of this movie wasn't. A lot of this movie was, and it was, you know, informative, but that's such a main thing now and so much in the forefront as to a life choice that a lot of people are deciding to make. Like, I don't want to pick, I don't want to choose, we're just going to have this poly dynamic. That would have been so great and would have been, you know, so forward thinking, especially with where we are now, with, you know, how many rights have changed, about, you know, same-sex couples adopting, about, you know, all the options that are, like, everything has, you know, made so much progress. There's so much knowledge now, so much stuff available. It would have been really nice just to focus on those aspects, and we still could have had, you know, him impregnating everybody in New York City and still had this same story. The whole, you know, Enron, Bush, AIDS vaccine or lack thereof, you know, the underhanded practicing, you know, them trying to take a brother down, that was another movie for another day. It would have been really beneficial for us to solely focus on Val, Fat, and Jack. We didn't need that. But since we got that, we got a hot mess of a fucking film. Is it still worth the watch? Sometime. This is not something, you know, that I'm just gonna put on, but you know, if it happens to come on, it's not necessarily something that I'm going to turn off. But I really wish that we would have got that instead of this. Well, you guys, that was my review for She Hate Me. I hope you enjoyed it. I broke it down as best I could, and I really don't feel like I broke nothing. Please drop down and give me your thoughts on this Spike Lee joint. Tell me what you think. Did I hit on all things? I did skip over a few things, you know, other aspects in the film with other, you know, supporting cast and characters and storylines, but it just all kind of amounted to nothing, and I didn't want to waste time there. The main part of the story was about, you know, Jack's situation with Fat and Val. Everything else was secondary, and it didn't really be there at all because it was horrible. If I had to see Monica Bellucci, like, you don't know how irritated I was when we got to the Italian aspect of that movie. I was like, but you know, you guys drop down and tell me what you think. I look forward to reading your comments. I appreciate you guys for watching. I see you next time. Bye.